Welcome in, folks. You're now in focus. I'm Rhonda Robinson.
And I'm Sheila Smoon. We're here to make sure everything comes into clarity for you, decluttering your life with the topics that we have. And we're very excited to have you here on Focus. And Rhonda, we were talking about focusing on how did you pick a school for your child? I mean, how did you start? Because you've been in a couple of school systems.
Yeah. So, for me, convenience to my job was important. I was a reporter anchor at the time. And so being able to get to the school quickly in the case of an emergency, or if she got sick, that was really important, the location. Obviously, class size was important too, because my daughter likes attention. So, I don't think, the larger classroom was going to be a good fit for her. So that was what I thought about.
Well, when I thought about it, and it really went all the way back to daycare. First of all, going back to daycare, I moved next to a babysitter because with that schedule that we had.
It was crazy.
Anchoring it, I had to be on the road at 3 a.m., on the air by 5 a.m.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. So I actually, the first time, looking for the daycare is when I started. I used Child Care Resources. Thank you very much. You really saved my life back then because, and they plotted out something around the school and my job, 1 mile radius. So thank you, Child Care Resources, for that back in the day.
They're really good at that too. Yeah.
They saved my life. I mean, I was a new person here. I had cousins, but they weren't going to be babysitting.
Right.
Fast forward to a school system. I started out in city school system. And they told me that my child needed reading-based kindergarten, and they didn't really have that. That might slow her up. So I actually sought out a school and that I found, and I looked at Montessori school. I looked at Catholic school. I even looked at the Jewish day school.
Really?
I did. I looked at a school because I was looking for, I was going to move wherever that school system was, but I was looking for academics and athletics. I was looking for that balance of academics and athletics because I had that kind of child at the time. And it was a real conscious effort. But when I went to school, my parents moved to the community. And look, guess what? That's the school you went to.
That's right. There was no selecting schools when we were growing up. It was like, that's where you going. That's in the neighborhood.
That's in the neighborhood. You can walk. We didn't have no school bus. So it didn't go to that. Although I had great teachers at the public school system, and I would go back to that school today. But you're right.
Yeah.
Your mama didn't sit down and say, let's plot out making some school choices.
Right.
You go in here. First kindergarten starts this time, and you go in the first two. And I went K through 12 at the same school.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. They're like your cousins. They hate when I come home for the class reunion because I know everything about them. So anyway, with that, we now have our guest.
Yeah, we are blessed to have Philip join us to talk about his school and help us kind of sort through choosing a school. But I want to throw out these few nuggets really quickly here from SafeSearchKids.com. The factors that parents consider when choosing a school. And I'll go through a few of them here.
Okay.
The distance between the house and the school, that's what some parents consider. The educational qualification and experience of the faculty, that's something that parents consider.
I didn't think about that part.
The scope of development of extracurricular interests. So depending on if your child has an interest in a certain type of activity. The ratio of students and teachers in the classroom, that was something that was important to me.
Right.
Educational and extracurricular infrastructure of the school. Fees affordability. So do you want public? Do you want private? Yeah. And the educational or school board that is prevalent. So school board systems, I guess, play a part. If you're not a fan of the school boards, you may not be a fan of the system in general. So
right, that's a good point.
Very interesting. But I don't want to take up too much time on that. We definitely want to talk with our expert here, Mr. Philip Turner. Welcome.
Hey. Welcome. Glad to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah. So talk to us about that. You heard that list. What do you think about when it comes to choosing a school? What advice do you give to parents?
For me personally, I have a 7-year-old, and some of those things on the list definitely apply. I think nowadays, a lot of parents, they need convenience because of where their jobs are located. Also, it's very important that the child fits Now, you guys mentioned earlier that we had to go where we had to go. It was no choice. The community we grew up in, that's where we went to school. However, nowadays, kids, are different. You know, they have a variety of things. You got TikTok, you have YouTube, you have various things that they can deal with. So kids are more active and more intelligent now. So I definitely believe that the school that they go to, they need to kind of fit their personality if possible.
Yeah.
Also, fees are very important as well. I know most public schools nowadays, they have activity fees, which can be as high as some of the private schools.
Yeah.
And you can have activity fees for athletics, if they're in some type of computer or chess club or robotic club. So fees are important too. But as for me, I think the fit's important, the finance is important, and the convenience is important as well. Those three things is what I look at as probably important for schools.
Now, in these, there's school choice now, and like
Right.
we all talked about, we didn't have that. We
Right.
just did not have that. So, talk to me about the choices. You got religious schools, you got charter schools, you got public, private, and Christian schools. Again, I said religious schools. I should say it in that manner. And then you got people who just say, "Well, I'm just going to homeschool. I'm going to set up my own school."
true.
Well, nowadays, since we had the COVID-19 crisis, you have a variety of schools, options you can use. For instance, you have private schools, which I'm a part of. I'm administrator of Northside Christian Academy. You still have public schools. You have charter schools, which are actually public schools, and you can't charge any fees for those. You actually have the home schools, as you mentioned, and a lot of those home schools are virtual schools. So a lot of kids did not go back to the general population of schools from COVID. The parents were scared. They got used to just being at home. And we'll find later on, I guess, in this conversation that has not been beneficial academically for kids. But those are the four main type of schools, and religious schools are usually private schools.
Yeah.
So they can charge any type of fees that they want to, and that could be a Catholic, non-denominational. You even have, I think, a Muslim or Islam school here. Islam
Like
school here.
you could just set up a religious school. Now anybody can just do that. You don't even have to have a church.
You could do that. I wouldn't advise that. But
I didn't know that you could just set up a school anywhere. Like I thought you had to have like certain
You had to go through the state for approval.
criteria.
there are qualifications. However, a lot of religious schools, they grandfathered in that are already in. Now, nowadays, there's a lot more restrictive. Now, Northside Christian Academy started 49 years ago. But if you start a school nowadays, for instance, I think there are certain criteria with DHR you have to meet, because all teachers will have to have background checks and aids, because we have so much abuse nowadays with kids and adults. Also, I think there's academic standards they have to have. Now, no matter what type of school it is, they have to follow the state regulations as far as 178 days a year.
Okay.
So they have to follow that. They can break it up any kind of way they want to. They can have a month off for Christmas. They can go through July if they choose. However, they have to do 178 days a year for school. That's the main criteria.
I
for
didn't
that.
know that. Well, we want to hear all about your school, but real quickly, Sheila has a few consumer tips for us.
Here, how do you save money on your school supplies at any time of the year? This is what you need to do. Shop online first. You know, you can find a lot of cool stuff online, and you can kind of bargain shop and everything.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to get out to go get them, they will deliver. So that's that whole thing
Amazon
online.
is my friend.
It is my friend. I learned for it to be my friend. And
Yeah, we're really good. We're tight. Me and Amazon, we're tight.
I love it. Number 2, look for coupons. The coupons are still your friend, and then I'm sure you look for those coupons online. Buy one, get one free, and don't impulse shop either. Like, just don't go out to Walmart or any of the stores, and and don't take your kids. That's my personal tip. That wasn't even on the list. Don't take your kids with you when you're shopping for
You
that.
spend more money.
You spend more money. Mommy, 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 mommy. I'm like, is that a universal word? Can I get another name? But anyway, don't do it like that. Shop for used items, like things that the hand-me-downs, they used to call it. But now those hand-me-downs are price conscious. They're going to save you money. If you've got one kid or you got a cousin or you got whatever the case is and they just use that book bag for 1 year, why not get that book bag and use it for another year because your child said they outgrew their book bag?
Yeah, or if you have multiple children, like give it to the other child.
That's the way it's got to go.
Pass it down.
Pass it down. That's a good one. Pass it down. Number 4, buy in bulk. So you got a lot of markers and crayons and things. You might want to get you a Sam's card or some kind of Costco card or something like that. or you might want to catch those sales and buy that stuff in bulk. Shop, I just said this, it is on the list. Shop without your kids. Shop without your kids. It's on my list. I didn't catch that. Buy supplies that's going to last a long time. So buy those supplies that are going to last a long time. And again, use those discounted gift cards at Christmas or whenever the child's birthday. Ask the parent, the grandparents, ask the cousins, ask the aunties, ask the friends, ask everybody, have 2 or 3 godparents, and get those gift cards and save them up. Those $25 gift cards add up, $10, $25, I like the $50, but if you give me 10, I can get some pencils, I can get some crayons, and the Dollar Tree is your friend.
Oh yeah,
We love the Dollar Tree.
Well, I definitely want to toss it back over to Philip because we are so excited to hear about your school. So for folks who may be hearing about it for the first time.
All right. Well, name of my school, as I mentioned before, is Northside Christian Academy. I'm the administrator of the school, and the school has been around for 49 years. It has a great history here in Birmingham, Alabama. It started off as a kindergarten about 49 years ago at Mount Olive Church over there in the Hooper City area, and Miss Susie Crum started that school. And the interesting thing about Miss Crum, she initially started off as a nurse and changed professions. She felt a need to educate young men and women in the Birmingham area. So it went from Hooper City to the Fairmont area, which was held at the Northside Church of God for years and years and years. And now, in the last couple of years, it's at SIPCO, First Baptist at SIPCO.
Okay.
Pastor Morrell Todd is over there located in the SIPCO area. We have K through 8th grade. You might ask, well, what's so special about Northside Christian Academy? This is what's special about it. We feel like every kid should have a right to learn, and economics should not be a factor in that situation. So many times, kids can't go to certain schools because of fees and their parents can't afford it. That's one reason why charters are available now. And like I mentioned earlier, charters are public schools. So anybody can go, you don't pay a fee and there's no testing fee to go there. The audience might not know that, but charter is a
I
public.
didn't know that.
Charter is a public school.
I didn't know
not
that.
a private
I
school.
didn't know that.
And you can't, they can't discriminate. That's why a lot of the larger cities, they have lotteries for the kids to go because you can't not stop one kid over the other, especially those KIPP schools in New York, Chicago, and Atlanta.
So what is the purpose for a charter school? If charter schools are public schools, what's different?
What is different?
But what happens is a lot in the public schools in several cities, kids weren't getting the education they needed. The test scores were 2 and 3 grades below the level. So a charter school does not have to follow any type of curriculum.
Got it.
A lot of times in the public school, they teach to a test. But the charter school actually tries to, help the student as far as basics with math, English, reading, that type of thing. So they get the basics to be able to go on farther. However, in order to get the funding, charter schools have to be specialized pretty much, or specialized in the Birmingham area. As you know, we have the Aviation and Air Academy out there in Bessemer.
Great.
Yeah.
You have the Magic City Academy in Acceptance Academy in Birmingham. You also have a school called Empower in Bessemer, and you have I think Legacy has been around.
Legacy Prep.
And I guess the
So
most
I3 Academy?
I3 is the most prominent school, charter school here.
Why is that the most prominent? What's going on at I3 Academy that's not going on in the public schools?
Well, that's a simple question. Simple answer. As you know, you being in the politics and stuff, they have the most backers behind them.
Oh, so it depends on that board and the funding.
The director of Alabama Power. I don't want to say the name wrong. Was it Mr. Elmer Harris, something like that? I'm not sure, but I guess we're not supposed to name drop. But anyway, they have a lot of that behind them.
They have a lot of
those types of people
involved.
So when you have a strong base, a funding base, and strong sponsors, and they were able to engage in the community. You know, they got in the right area in Birmingham, and Woodline. You know, that area is growing.
Is that where Cornerstone is too?
growing. Yeah.
It's right up. It's next to St. Barnabas.
Yeah, I know exactly where that is.
So because of that chance, they took the opportunity. Timing is key in a lot of things. They hit at the right time, and they were very accepting. They had all type of teachers there, good teachers. A lot of teachers from public schools went to I3 because the salary was more as well.
Wow.
And you have more off days. So if you can adjust your curriculum and your calendar like we do at Northside Christian Academy, that's a lot more inviting to teachers. But back to Northside Christian Academy, Like we say, economics is not an issue. We find a way for each kid to attend the school. You get a lot of kids, like you mentioned, your child was didn't like to learn in large environments.
Yeah.
But we have small classes, so the kids are able to learn. They can feel comfortable. It's more of a family atmosphere.
Right.
Therefore, the kid has no excuse not to get his work. Now, he does have homework.
Yeah.
And we do have a variety of subjects, such as we have the core subjects. We also have a foreign language, each semester, French and Spanish. We have robotics. We have art, music, theater. We're not a creative art school, but we actually offer that for the kids. And in the past, when we've had the students, we actually have had basketball, track, and cheerleading. Now, we don't have that this year because we don't have as many students. And a lot of students did not even go back to school. I think you've seen the statistics from Birmingham City. About 22% of kids did not even go back to school. So they're automatically going to be behind, and which is important in the summertime, which we have a summer program as well.
Do you allow parents to come visit? Like if they are
Always.
considering coming to your school, they can come visit? Okay.
Always, that's key. We can't develop a successful student without the parent being involved. So many times nowadays you have parents and grandparents that are 35 years old. And that you have the generations, when you have kids that are having kids at 15 and 16 years old, it's kind of hard for the parent to actually parent because they're a kid themselves.
Yeah.
That's why you have so many confrontations in schools with parents wanting to beat up the teachers. You didn't have that coming up.
Right.
We had to worry about getting a spanking with the teacher, the neighbor, parent, all that stuff. So we were just raw like a turkey when we got home.
Everybody got a piece of you. Everybody got a piece of
Everybody
you.
got a piece of me.
Mommy would be like,
Yeah.
if your teacher have to get you, I'm going to get you
When
I
you come
get
in,
home.
and don't let me get off my job.
Yep.
Yeah, don't let it be a weekend.
Now,
me
I
get
had the
off my
principal
job.
call me.
Don't do
I
it.
was more afraid of that than
I
anything
was
else.
too. I was like, don't let
call
me
my
get off
mama.
my job.
Just
Don't call my mama.
My mother was a teacher, and she had a belt called Miss Betsy Brown, and I was fortunate enough. Now,
Betsy.
Brown, it was a little brown thing. And it was notorious. She taught about 30, 35 years in the Powerly and Jackson School, but she was actually voted Teacher of the Year several times, and it's amazing that I thought she was so mean to him, but Miss Betsy Brown. I wish I had a picture of it. That would be good.
So you didn't have to see Miss Betsy. You were a perfect kid. I know you were.
I wasn't perfect, but I was pretty good. I was pretty good. I didn't get bad till maybe after college days, but in college. But my brother wasn't so good. But at Northside Christian, we accept everybody, and we really we're taking applications now for it because it's the spring, and we really I think your kid, they get a religious background. We actually are
I
fortunate.
do like the religious background, so they get all of that with all the rest of the stuff that everybody wants.
Now, we don't beat you over the head like Jimmy Swaggart or somebody with the Bible, because that wouldn't be right. That'd get on anybody's nerves. But we're fortunate enough to be one of the 14 Title I schools in Birmingham. And what that is, Birmingham City Schools provide funds, teachers, tutors. So if your child's not doing well, they automatically have 2 or 3 tutors after school, which you don't have to pay for a tutor. The child can just stay there from 3 to 5, whatever subject that is.
That's awesome.
So we were really fortunate to get that component, and each kid has an iPad or whatever's the most popular thing now. So
And you're at the school that you're at. And the other thing I did want to tell you that I did love Susie Crum. My daughter went there. Her dad went there. His siblings went there because it was in Hooper City, right there by at the time that school by the Folly and J. Daniel Payne over in that area.
Okay.
And it was that school. Only she went there for that summertime, and then decided to stay. She liked it because it was small, but they were very attentive. Miss Crum was very attentive. So shout out to all of her graduates who are doing very well. And Philip, to you who carrying on her legacy. I wanted to ask you, I didn't know that, what happens to the kids in, I guess, some of the county schools or city schools around this state when they get kicked out of school? You do accept those kids?
right, and this is a bad dilemma here in the city. If a child gets kicked out of Birmingham City schools, they have a rule now, they can't go to Jefferson County. If a child gets kicked out of Jefferson County schools, they can't go to Birmingham City. So what do you think happens then?
They get in trouble.
They get in trouble. They get in
They
trouble.
get sent to family court.
Yeah.
That's why while violent crimes are up among kids ages 12 to 15, because they just sit at home. The parents have to work. That's right. So that's important. We accept kids, and we've had several kids that have come to our school and gone on to high school, Ramsey, Holy Family, private schools, public schools. Then they're going on to college and in the military from that and done well. So that I'm glad we had that option, and that needs to be brought back. Who's ever listened to the program? There used to be a city program for kids could go when they got kicked out of school, not alternative school, but they could actually go to school and they would get a part-time job. Kids need some motivation now. They see so much fast money with the videos and stuff, so they're looking at that, but that's not realistic.
Right.
Everybody wants to be the next YouTube star.
Right.
So if they have a little pocket change, I think what was the movie Come to America? Akeem said they'll be okay. They'll be
You know,
okay.
McDonald's is paying $12 and $14 an hour now. They really, really are.
And
I
they
do.
will pay for you to go to college.
They will, and they will pay for you to go to college. And so those programmings where I came from Flint, Michigan, they had Skill Center. So half the kids, you go to a couple of hours of regular academic classes, but then the bus would show up and take those kids. They had cosmetology, they had welding, and they would, when they got out of high school, nursing, they were set for a skill.
Wow.
And they were ready. And then there was always a recruiter for the military at our school. And so junior ROTC is big. I know Birmingham has that and some of the schools, but I went to Marion Military Academy one time to do a speech, and I was just in awe of that spot. And, you know, and they think, okay, I'm just sending my kid to the military to get him straight, get her straight. No, it was something going on down there. And so I am a fan of a military school.
Wow.
I like it because you send your kid to military, they've been wilding out, doing all kinds of stuff, and all of a sudden 10 weeks later they come back perfect because you need a drill sergeant in your life.
Discipline.
Right. You need a drill sergeant. And so I do commend those schools that are doing that, but I was talking to a couple of the military people. They're like, hand those kids over to us in the manner and not have those rules attached, because the schools do have rules. Yeah. But if you had a military style academy, I would bet that parents would say, okay, you want to play? Let's play. Yeah. And put them in that, because they come out, it's just a whole nother different way of discipline. And I think it's a good thing, instead of all putting why would you put all the so-called bad kids together? So they can come out with something else? It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. That's why you have a lot of kids that they cut up and they all become friends down there at the juvenile, I call it the kiddie prison on 2nd Avenue. They continue, they go to Mount Meigs or somewhere like that. They just come back. When they get 17, 18, that's where the crime really gets serious.
And Mount Meigs is what exactly for our audience?
Mount Meigs and back of there are the Division of Youth Services prisons for children here in Alabama. Oh. So you can go there as young as 11 or 12. But for the young, they used to have a girls' prison too, Chalkville, but it was blown away in a tornado. However, though, those are places you don't want to go, especially if you get what you call an SJO. That's a serious juvenile offender, and that can be on your record for years and years. Wow. But I just know that city program coming back, and we're thinking about adding that military component to leadership component to Northside Christian Academy, because you got to get the kid between age 10 and 13. Really, after age 12, it's probably too late.
Really?
Too late, yes.
Wow. I always like to say, get them at K right now, to get them out of the womb, because they just come out doing all this, and it's just so much with social media and that kind of thing that's an influence in their lives, and they just come out learning everything so much quicker than they used to. Talk to us about your summer program. And once you go to Northside Christian Academy, you also have a Fresh Start. Talk to me about that summer program.
Fresh Start Summer Enrichment Program. It's actually been around since 2003.
Okay.
And it was called Second Chance at first because we saw kids walking back and forth in North Birmingham with nothing to do. And in 2003, there were not a lot of options as far as summer camps, different things. Now you have the Y. Several churches have camps. Several nonprofits have camps. But what makes our camp different, once again, we try to develop the entire kid physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. We also have a little vacation Bible school with our camp a couple of days. You don't have that in churches anymore. I think we grew up with that.
Right, I did.
What we try to do, we have theme weeks, but our main thing is to combat what we call the summer slide, brain drain. That's a phenomenon. And what that is, when kids go back to school, they're usually 3 to 6 months behind on grade level. But now with COVID, a lot of kids are 6 months to a year behind academically. Some are 2 years behind.
Wow.
Because they haven't gone to school. So what happens? Now, we have a mandate now in Alabama where a child has to pass a test, or has to pass a reading test in 3rd grade. And you guys know why it's third grade, don't you?
No, because they think that's a pipeline to prison.
Yeah, you know. I know you know.
Really?
Yes. They developed the prisons based on how many kids pass the reading test in Alabama.
Yeah.
And they have a math one too now. They're not mentioning the math, but they have to be a certain level in third grade math as well.
So basically, depending on how you score in the third grade can determine your future according to the way it's set up.
That's according to that. I don't believe in that nonsense because we're going to change it as leaders here, but that's what's developed on why you think our governor is put that COVID money to 2 prisons. I think it's $45 million.
Wow.
And they could get my political school $10 million, but that's another show. The school I went to.
Well, I do want you, before we wrap up, tell people how they can find your school.
Your school and your summer
Yeah.
camp.
We're taking applications for summer camp, and we partner with Birmingham City Division of Youth Services. Now, our ages are K-5 to 13. However, if the kid has an older brother or sister, they can go with kids and jobs and work at the camp. So that would save you. You can drop the older kid and the younger kid. City of Birmingham will pay. You can reach me at 910-2781, area code 205, 910-2781. Or look on Facebook under Fresh Start Summer Enrichment, and you can find me there if you, what they call DM me or look me up in there. Also, we have a website that's coming out as well, so I'll get that information out. But the main way to contact me is for the school and the summer, because summer starts June 9th and goes through July 11th. We have about 5 weeks. We have various field trips, Surge, Tigers for Tomorrow. We try to do some service learning with McWayne, Birmingham Zoo, Red Mountain Park.
Oh, cool.
Trying to get all that in. But we do math and English every day, and we have various components come in, such as Birmingham Children's Theater. We've had different things over the years, different musicians come in. So your child be well-rounded. They also can play sports. We do our sports at the North Birmingham Rec Center. So we go Monday through Thursday. It'll be a great experience for your kids. I even have kids now that are 25 and 30 that come back to me now. They tell them my age with the summer camp.
I love it.
Well, we are so proud of you.
Love that program. I
And-
love
and-
Northside.
And proud of his
Yeah.
school to survive 49 years. That's
a
huge.
lot. Thank you so much, Philip Turner, for joining us. And Rhonda, we are done for now. We have got to wrap this up. Again, I'm Sheila Smoot.
Rhonda Robinson.
And this is Focus. And we are so glad we could help you declutter today. We'll see you next week.